welcome back to my channel. This is Amber's World. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. I'm so glad that you're here. And of course, if you are not new here and you're already part of my fam, welcome back. Today is a new episode of the Black Heroes and Sheroes of Today interview series. Yes, I am filming this intro video from the comfort of my bathroom because that is my business. Shout out to Tabitha Brown. Today, we're gonna get into some things once again with a woman who describes herself as supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I know it's really embarrassing that I had to think of the second part, whatever. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, that is what she describes herself, and I honestly couldn't agree more. Auntie Momo, TT Momo, my girl since day one, literally. She's just such... Man, as I do these interviews, I am reminded of how blessed I am to have such colorful characters for aunties. And she is definitely one of those people, like, you know those memes that say that auntie who, that one auntie. Well, Auntie Mona is that one auntie, and I love her so much, and she is absolutely the best. And along with her being so entertaining and just hilarious, she also has so much wisdom to share, and she has done a few things in her life that I feel like you as the audience need to hear. Without further ado, this is Auntie Mona. And I just want to give a shout out to me because this is the smoothest intro video I have done thus far. I highly doubt I'll even have to edit this video, so pats on the back. She is getting better and better each day. All right, I'm done here. This isn't about me, this is about her. So Auntie Mona, let's get into it.
Just tell the people where you're from.
I'm from the gritty, pretty city of Detroit. I've been born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I've lived other cities and other states, but Detroit is my home. I have been raised by two fabulous parents, Terry and Joyce Prater. I am one of 14 kiddies. I have 13 siblings, 7 brothers and 6 sisters. And they are the complete embodiment of me. I mean, they are the 13 other pieces of me. They really are.
Being a lady from the D, could you kind of describe to us your educational background?
Well, I was educated in Detroit public school system after I graduated from Redford High School in 1985. Did I just say the year? Yeah, 85.
Stop, you were great.
Well, in Redford, I got my cosmetology license or certification to take our state boards, as well as a, your general studies, your diploma. Then I went on to Specs Howard Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts. And then I did a couple of years at prison at Henry Ford Community College. So I was educated always in the Metro Detroit area.
I consider you to be the queen of journalism, of broadcasting. You, what the audience doesn't know. I mean, what the audience doesn't know is that, of course, I went and sought out wisdom from you about going about this series, because you know about interviewing somebody way more than me. You're absolutely incredible. So could you kind of tell the audience about your journey in broadcasting?
So as I was going to say, I have been blessed, Amber. Everybody cannot, may not be able to be blessed with the route that I took, and that I didn't finish school. I didn't finish university. I was always blessed with a job whenever one came about. And even before that, I would try out for things and they would say, okay, great, we want you. Or I would be in school and I didn't finish because I had to start a new, great, exciting job. I worked at WB Donor when I was 19. I got married, had a baby. So I left there and stayed home for a while and did hair. So my career has been very serendipitous in that it wasn't a textbook journey. I was afforded opportunities that I know that God opened the door for me to do. Even in radio, which is so funny, I was a writer at Channel 4, and I got at Channel 4 because I was Paula Tutman's hairdresser, and I would write for her while we were doing hair, and she says, "Oh, Ramona Prater, you have $1 million worth of talent in $1 bills, and I'm going to get you to get hired at my station so you can write for me for her franchise Paula's People and Places. So that's how I got into television, secular television. I was always in Christian television. And then from there, I took a meeting at a radio station, WMXD Mix 92.3, for a project I wanted to do with the radio station and television. And the program director at the time says, "Oh my God, I love your personality and your voice. We have an opening on the morning show and we'd like to consider you for it." And I was like, wait a minute, I came here for a meeting regarding something else. So when I first started in radio, I was stuttering, I speak fast. People were writing me, not everybody, but a few people wrote me hate mail, like, "Who did you sleep with to get on this production? You suck. You talk too fast." And I would just email them back, I can't believe it either. If you can't believe it, I can't either. So, and then after that, the rest was history. 6 months later, I was interviewing in Chicago for one of the top 3 markets in the country. So I have to say that God had his hand on me this entire journey. I would love to say that I was so great and I practiced and, you know, I had the brush in the mirror singing and stuff like that, but never in my wildest dreams would imagine that this dream would come true. I would also have to say that when I was 10, well, in the 5th grade, so I was 10 years old, Mr. Anthony Flowers, I stuttered really badly. And he says, "You got a great voice, Ramona Prater. When I get finished working with you, people will pay you to talk." And he made me read poetry, listening to classical music to a metronome. And I would say, "Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow." So I was doing Robert Frost. And before I knew it, my stuttering went away. I spoke at the graduation that year in 5th grade at Cook Elementary School. But because somebody spoke into my life and said, "You have a great voice and you're going to get paid to use it." And he prophesied, and that's exactly what happened.
Wow, that is incredible. Thank you for laying that out. That is so cool. And you know what? I think the story of somebody with raw talent, you know, catching the eyes and ears of people versus somebody that, like, you know, trained rambunctiously for it. I feel like that's an even cooler story, because it's like, you know, that you could just tell when it's meant for you, it's meant for you. And you weren't scared to just go for it. I think that's really, really cool.
I wasn't scared, but I was aware that I was in a different arena, that there were broadcast veterans all around me, and a lot of which who took me up into their arms and into their club. Some who didn't, but that doesn't matter. I mean, like, opposition is a part of life. So I never shout out people who rhyme with skaters. I think they're inconsequential. It doesn't matter if someone doesn't like you. I mean, like, that's like running a race and looking in the stands to see who's cheering. You'll fall and break your teeth. I never pay attention to who doesn't have my back. God has my back, and he always has. And everything I've ever reached for in this life has come to me, barring race, educational background, from the right side of the tracks. What I've wanted and what I've set my sights on, even the things I didn't want that I've been granted, I know it has been because of the grace and mercy of God. That's real talk. That's on period.
I love it. And so what would you tell, you know, students who do want to get into, you know, journalism and stuff? I know you said, you know, you kind of stumbled upon the journey, even though you did kind of do school for it. You know, what advice do you give them? I know you have tons of gems, and I know you probably can't fit them all in this little interview, but what should they keep in mind when going into that type of field?
To read everything. Read periodicals, read novels, read newspapers. Always have information. Information is your biggest tool. If you're going to be a journalist, you need to know lots and lots of things that you may not ever be quizzed on Jeopardy, but you need to be advised about everything. Read. I don't like politics, but I read about politics. I like history. I love American history. I like world history. I like Black history, to see what we as a race have contributed to this country. So when I hear things contrary, I'm like, wait a minute, do you not know this, that, and the third? So reading is fundamental. It really is. Also, if you read out loud, it helps with your enunciation and pronunciation and your presence. You need to have a presence when you're on the radio, or if you're speaking, you need to command a room. And that just comes from confidence in how you speak or what you're speaking about. So you can tell what they lack in length, they make up for in substance. So, you want to have something to say. And if you read and become educated about various myriad topics, you'll have a lot to say, and it'll be substantive. Even if it's not a lot, the things you say will be impactful.
What are some fun memories that you had being in radio? Because I can imagine that is a super fun experience. The people you get to meet, the things you get to do. So what are some fun things that you remember from that experience?
Backstage, all access passes. I'm meeting celebrities. One of my first weeks in radio. Oh, the first week in radio, the late great Gerald Levert was coming to WMXD Mix 92.3 to host this morning show. We were searching for a new morning show host. It really was Steve Harvey the whole time, but it was a big promotional deal. But Gerald Levert was coming this week, and I told my intern, who hated me then, Lee Edward Kelly, shout out to Lee, he loves me now. He says I was too happy and chipper and sunny. But I told him, I said, listen, if Gerald Levert comes here this next week, I'm wearing a wedding dress on Monday. This is Friday. They didn't believe me. I said, oh, I love Gerald Levert. So I happen to have a wedding dress. I happen to have a few wedding dresses in my closet. So I got in full regalia. I mean, just the headpiece, including the flowers, the veil, the white shoes. I was dressed in white from head to toe. And this was like in July. And I came into the studio like I always do. I sat down and I was doing the news, traffic, and weather. So the show was going on. And Gerald is across the glass from me. And he says, we're going to toss it to Ramona Prater for the weather. And I'm like, good morning, Detroit, 65 degrees, your current temperature, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, so are you aware that you have on a wedding dress? And I said, oh, yeah, I just wanted to wear something light and bright. And just in case you have some time after the show, we can run to Ohio and get married. And he laughed and laughed, and it went over. It was a big risk because I was new. My boss just hired me. I was like there 1 week to do something that outrageous. And it made the trade magazines and all that. But I wasn't even trying to do that. I was really trying to marry Gerald Levert. That was fun. I mean, we got to do outrageous, spontaneous things like that. And it was a win-win for me and the station. So my boss kept me.
Wow. And that really is a true story. And you really are like the embodiment of, there are benefits to just being yourself.
That wasn't a textbook action. You're right. That was something that was organic. And I did a little bit, I considered a little bit what the consequences may be, but I said, well, I didn't think about getting fired, but I didn't know what the PR would be. But I was like, this is innocent. And Gerald will feel my heart. He knows I'm not crazy. We had a great time. We laughed it up. We had lots of pictures. It was a great day. It was a great day.
Yeah. So opposed to, the great times, were there any obstacles that you had to, face, being in that field?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it is a cutthroat business. People who are not confident in God's ability to promote them, then they resort to all kinds of tactics, because, and I don't hold it against people. I think that people are not confident that promotion comes from God. You do the right thing, the right things will happen to you. Maybe not on your timetable. Maybe it won't happen when you want it, but just focus on doing a great job. And whoever who is will notice you and promote you, but it really comes from God. So every closed door doesn't mean your opportunity is gone. It just means it wasn't your time. And so knowing that, I've never been vindictive. I've never stabbed anybody in the back. I've never been that person. I've always been confident in what God has for me. It's for me at whatever timing. Even if a door closes, amen. It's all good. Whatever experience I got from that opportunity, I'll take it to the next opportunity. But some of the harder times were finding out that there were plots afoot. And it was like, wow, really? Really? That's I'm not going to say hard. I guess it's a splash of cold water no matter what you're doing, that there are people who are not as confident that, hey, sis, you got a place. Hey, bruh, you don't have to be divisive. You have a place too. There's room for everybody.
One question I want to ask you that I feel like you would answer and nail perfectly is that what do you want to see more of in the Black community? Because it's important to, of course, celebrate, you know, being Black and celebrate our history. But I feel like it's also good to be introspective in our community and see, you know, how can we improve to improve our advancement in this world?
Oh, wow. So I'll speak to the Black community, but I think this what I'm about to say is applicable for anybody. I think as a group, though, we need to be, I'm not saying that we're not, but more conscious of living substantive lives, not more conscious about making money or being famous, but about making sure the space that you occupy in this body affects the world and your community first. Before you can affect the world, you have to affect the people around you in a positive way. So I don't care if you're a barber, you're a hairdresser. I think I want our hairdressers in our community to do more charity. If you see a young lady who can't afford to get her hair done, and your butter is whipped and everybody on your team is whipped, for some other sisters who can't afford it at the time. You know, in high school, people are bullied because their hair is not right or their clothes are not right. I want people in our community to begin in a real way, paying it forward, depositing in someone else's life. How many more pictures on social media can there be of you, really? I think we should do less selfies and look at people who have less than you do. If you have an extra pair of Jordans, give it to somebody. If you have a few extra wigs, give it to somebody. You only can wear 1 or 3 purses at a time. Why don't you give things away? There is a line in one of my favorite movies. You know, I have a lot of movies favorites, but It's a Wonderful Life. There is a line that I've watched this movie 100 times and I've never seen this under George Bailey's dad's photo. So quote, and it says, the only thing we really take with us are the things we've given away. So I think we all should live from that place, not so much what we can get out of the world. When we expire, what will the world miss because of us, or what will still be here from us that will remain and stand the test of times? We should be living consciously about doing whatever that is.
Wow. And mic drop right there. We can end it right there. I love it. Thank you so much for that wisdom. And so before we go, we have to do what I have been always doing with these interviews, and that is my version of a rapid fire round. So and I find it really funny because this was actually your suggestion. I was thinking, what questions do I ask Auntie Mona? Okay, so if you had to choose between receiving a new wig or custom made eyelashes, what are you going to choose?
God, I guess a new wig. You know, wigs, I'm over wigs now. I have one on now, but because I wasn't ready for this interview, so I just threw a hat on. But yeah, I guess eyelashes, you can miss me with eyelashes. Give me the wig.
Either Grease or The Sound of Music.
Grease. Aida is my favorite musical, but of those two, I have to choose Grease.
You're at Thanksgiving. You have to choose between 2 sides. You have to sacrifice one. You can't eat it this year.
Okay.
Macaroni and cheese.
All right.
Or the greens.
I can't eat it. What I choose, I can't eat. Greens. I'll take macaroni and cheese every day.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and press end on the recording. This has been great.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you for everybody. Happy Black History Month. Let's do better.